you can get right to what you're looking for. And this beats having to wait in long lines of traffic on the phone or going somewhere in the city without doing the proper research first. We wanted to cut out that and hopefully get you right to pinpoint services that you're looking for. And so please, while you're on us tonight, feel free to ask questions, engage, but also check out that resource. So without further ado, I want to introduce your host and moderator for the evening, none other than our Vista, Miss Minomi Lord.
Thank you, Eric. So tonight we have 4 panelists. The first panelist that we have tonight is Miss Khadijah Butler, who is the founder of Craig D. Butler Scholarship Foundation. We also have Ms. Zakiya Williams, who is the co-founder and COO of Blackmail Hill. We also have Ms. Edith King, who is a therapist with Blackmail Hill. And lastly, we have Mr. Cobb Carter, who is the Assistant Director of Systems Integration for the Department for Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services. And so we just want to have a conversation tonight to keep it very smooth and just allow these panelists to talk about their work and the services that they provide here in the city, and also talk about, just have like a little conversation on Black men and the conversation with mental health tonight. So first I'm gonna ask Ms. Butler, tell us more about the CDB Scholarship Foundation.
Thanks, Minomi. So again, I'm Khadijah Butler. The CDB Scholarship, or Craig D. Butler Scholarship Foundation, was established in January of 2020 on my father's birthday. The scholarship is in his namesake. It was started in his memory since he was actually murdered by a 14-year-old in 1999. And so my family just wanted to memorialize him. And with memorializing him, we offer scholarships to African-American students in Philadelphia at Philadelphia schools. To date, it's only been 2 years, but we've actually offered 5 scholarships thus far. And we're just looking forward to being able to provide the resource to the city.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the next question is for Ms. Zakiya Williams. Tell us more about Blackmail Hill, please.
Yes, hi, thanks, Naomi. So my name is Zakiya Williams, and I am the co-founder and COO of Blackmail Hill. What we do at Blackmail Hill is we offer 8 free sessions to Black men and pair them with Black clinicians and clinicians of color. We provide them with 8 free sessions, and we also offer a virtual group for them every Sunday. It's called King's Corner. In King's Corner, they get together and speak about topics such as depression, anxiety. Sometimes they just have open discussion, just about things that Black men are sometimes they don't like that word, hesitant to use in the presence of other people, and they just are able to share and get support from each other. Currently, so the way we pair our clinicians and our men, we do like this matching system that we take away the 3 barriers of cost, because all of our services are free to our men. Stigma, we ask that the men, it's not required, but we ask if they can tell 8 other men if they've gone through the 8 sessions to tell them about our services, which has not been a problem. Most of the men that come through our program are referrals of the men who have already gone through that program.
Nice, thank you. And the next question is for Ms. Edith King. If you could tell us more about your work that you do for Blackmail Hill.
Sure, thanks, Minomi. So, as Zakiya said, Blackmail Hill is an organization that pairs men of color to, licensed clinicians for 8 free sessions. So we just finished, I think, cohort 10, Zakiya, and you guys are kind of like ending the cohort system, but we just finished cohort 10, and I think the organization started in 2018. So I've been a part of Blackmail Hill since cohort 2. So I've been with the company for a really long time. I've known the founders, for some time. time professionally, and they're mentors for me. So as far as, you know, my work with Blackman Hill, many of the clients that I've had within the Blackman Hill program, I would say I would probably take on maybe about 2 to 3 clients each cohort, and at least half of them have, you know, decided to continue counseling with me even beyond the 8 free sessions. So ultimately, you know, making sure that I'm providing a safe space for them, helping them to work through any trauma or mental health issues, and, you know, continuing to offer those resources for them beyond. One of the things that I'll be doing with Blackman Hill coming up, we'll be launching a program called Gun Violence Group Therapy, which will be a program for, the pilot program will be for young boys in the ages of 12 to 17 who have been impacted by gun violence either within their neighborhoods or families, or if they were directly impacted by gun violence. So that's one of the newer projects that I'll be taking on.
That's great. Thank you for that. And Mr. Kyle, can you tell us more about DBHIDS, please?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Naomi. So DBHIDS offers behavioral health care, and that's defined as centers around mental health supports, resources, as well as supports that are around substance abuse disorder. So intellectual disability supports as well, along with early intervention services and a really comprehensive integrated system. Our services are offered through a network of provider agencies, and it's through these partnerships that we're able to serve the Philadelphians as a whole. We are comprised of 7 divisions. I'm just going to give you a few examples. I know time is of the essence. We have the division of CDH, so that's Community Behavioral Health. So that is our managed care organization. The Division of Intellectual Disability Services, so IDS, which provides resources and supports around those with intellectual disabilities, as well as the associated provider networks. And then we also have the Division of Planning and Innovation, which many of our community front-facing partnerships are and programs are faced. So a few of them of note that I just want to mention are Engaging Men of Color, so our EMOC, and our Engaging Women of Color, which is our EWOC. Gabriel Bryant oversees those, and he's a frequent participant in a lot of the work that you guys do. And those programs really are targeted initiatives that are designed to kind of address the impact of health, economic, educational disparities experienced by people of color. Some of the goals are just to promote better understanding and awareness of behavioral health challenges, reduce the associated stigma, and improve the quality of life of people of color throughout the Philadelphia region. In addition, we also have a Community Wellness and Engagement Unit. That's a multilingual engagement team providing greater access to wellness-driven resources and support across all communities across Philadelphia. And then finally, more of our trauma-driven initiative is our Network of Neighbors. This is an initiative out of the department. It's a group of DBHIDS staff and trained community members make up this network, which has been providing trauma-informed, evidence-formed and driven, and community director support to Philadelphia's neighborhoods, schools, and communities since 2016. The network provides support to any community, any neighborhood, social group, workplace, etc. In a Philadelphia that has been impacted by experience of overwhelming stress. And one unique thing that they do is they meet people where they are. The citizens have to, request their presence, and then they come out and provide support as the citizens request. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you for that. And in the chat, we do have links to all of these organizations that are featured tonight. You can also find it on the resource finder as well. So the next question I have tonight for Ms. Khadija is, why do you think it was important to add your foundation to the Blackmail resource finder?
So I think the one thing that's interesting is that we actually share the same commitment as far as just bridging the divide between boys of color, and especially those of education. And so the one thing that we recognized once we started the foundation was that there's 14% of African Americans who are awarded degrees as opposed to 57% of those that are white students. And so just trying to narrow that gap, I think, is the most important thing. I think it was really alarming because, of course, the people that are, you're looking at some of these graduation rates, not knowing that this is actually something that's as huge of a gap. And so for me, I think that's what was really important for, organizations to be able to show, that the shade that you are, that there's someone that's actually advocating for you that looks like you, that's actually been there. And so more than anything, I think Black boys need to see that, just to redirect their focus off of gun violence and anything else that they're kind of they kind of gotten stuck on. So I just think just sharing that commitment with the mayor's office is what was really important.
Yes, that's nice. I do agree. I do believe representation is a big factor in a lot of things when it comes to helping the community. Okay, so the next question I have for Ms. Zakia is, why do you think it was important to add Blackman Hill to the Blackmail Resource Finder?
Yeah, it's also what Khadija said. Again, one of the big things that Black men tend to agree on, have in common is the stigma. And what takes away the stigma is what's wrapped up in stigma is secrecy and shame, right? So to take that off, what we do is we ask our men, like I said, to go out and they're our best advocates. They're like our walking billboards. They have the merch. They're out on social media, talking about all the things that they're doing. And just like Edie said, we try to, so when we do our matching system, we try to take out try to take out the variables so that we can get the best matches, right? It's not just a thing of, well, you Black and I'm Black. We take out things like expertise. Like if someone comes for depression or anger or grief, we try to pair them with that person. Also like personality. If we have a guy who may have some issues with his mother growing up, we might pair him with another woman, a female therapist that has a more nurturing nature and nurturing tone. So we put a lot into our matching system. We created Blackman Heal as a solution to a broken mental health system. You can turn on the back of your card and look for a therapist, but as we all know, sometimes it's just not going. You can wait on waiting lists and try to go through all that stuff, and we take all of those steps away when we just do the pairing. And another thing that I wanted to mention is that what we also do, in addition to dealing with the community and Black men, we also take on pre-licensed and unlicensed therapists to add more to the supply. It's a supply demand issue as therapists, of color. So what we do is we offer the pre-licensed or unlicensed therapist supervision. We provide them with the clinical hours that they need to get licensure, and we also provide them with free supervision so that we can open up that pipeline for more Black therapists.
Thank you. That was great. So the next question I have is from Ms. Edie. Same question. Why do you think it was important to add Blackman Hill to the Blackmail Resource Finder?
Sure. I feel like Zakia covered a lot of it, but I can definitely echo a lot of her sentiments. But from my perspective as a provider, I think it's important because in a lot of ways, like most of the men, especially like the men in my life, some people, they just don't know, right? So for so long, for years and decades, right? Like this hasn't been something that's as easily accessible or something that's as easily available, right? So in a lot of, especially in many circles within the Black community, it's just like, oh, well, therapy is for white people, right? And like we understand that that's a myth and that's not true. We're understanding that now, but a lot of people may still have that perspective, so they may not think of it as it being available or something for them. And I think a newer myth that a lot of people hold is just that therapy is for women, that like, oh, well, I don't need to talk to anybody about my problems. What is talking going to do about it? So having Blackman Heal on the resource finder, I think it gives them, it helps if they're on there. Say, for instance, I see somebody in the chat just asked about physical health. So if they're on there looking for something related to physical health or child support or legal issues, right, they might come across it like, oh, what is this? So I think it just gives it gives another opportunity for them to be seen and for them to be validated, right? And then when we also talk about stigma, it's a lot of conversations that are going on at barbecues and barbershops and in men's circles, right? But if I'm struggling, I may not say to my homeboy like, hey, do you know where a therapist is? They might talk about it in different ways. But if I just so happen to stumble across it, or if somebody posts that it's on this resource finder, I can do that in my own way. Like I don't have to put myself in a position where I'm experiencing shame or experiencing questions of like, oh, well, why are you looking for a therapist? Or why don't you just try this? So I think the more the more spaces that this is provided, or the more spaces that this is listed, that it's available, the greater, you know, the greater the impact will be, and, you know, the easier that we'll be able to, you know, we can all collaboratively work along with like decreasing that stigma. So I just think it's important to just know that it's out there.
Thank you. And to touch on that, yes, I believe, yes, with our Blackmail Resource Finder, we're trying to make resources accessible as possible. So yes, I do agree with that. And last,
you muted yourself.
You muted, my Nomi.
Sorry. Last question for Mr. Kyle. Why do you think it was important to add DBH IDS to the Blackmail Resource Finder?
So I have to say the previous responses were amazing. Mine is a bit more short and to the point, but the previous responses were amazing. I think one of the key reasons that we're just ecstatic to be a part of this is there is a need for equity and availability for diverse, because we're not all a monolith, and effective treatment for behavioral health needs. And DBH IDS is dedicated to this with a specific focus on Black and Indigenous people of color. And this resource finder is just a wonderful tool to accomplish this. So, yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so the last question that I have for everyone tonight. So for Miss Khadija, why did you start your foundation? I feel like you touched on that a little bit, but if you want to go into more detail.
Yep. So I mean, next to, you know, honoring my father's memory and just really just turning pain into purpose, the one thing that I did recognize is that there aren't any scholarships that are Philadelphia based, that are specifically for African Americans, that aren't backed by a celebrity or a corporate sponsor or an endowment or a trust or something of that nature. Like, I haven't seen it. If it is, I haven't seen it. And so once again, to say that there's an advocate of someone that's behind you that knows what it's like to be from Philadelphia and to have a degree, and not just to have a degree, to know what comes from that degree, like how it actually affects the community in a positive way, like just creating, you know, really the paradigm shift. I think, I don't remember who said it at the beginning, but it was actually kind of the same things that we were thinking when we started, is really just changing the narrative that it actually exists. It's like, it actually will create that level of, you know, economic independence, and it'll promote philanthropy for those that are actually receiving the scholarships. And so it's really just also just increasing those graduation rates that we mentioned earlier today. And so, as I said before, I think it was really important to not only have the actual story behind why it happened, but most importantly, to know that there are actually people out there, like regardless of their circumstances, that do deserve an opportunity to get an education.
Thank you for that. And for Miss Zakia, mental health is a topic that many Black men consider taboo and do not often discuss. With this, why is Blackman Hill and its services so important?
Well, I kind of answered that earlier, but just to piggyback on it, sometimes people don't want to step into a system that they're leery of, right? That's not, that they know is not made for them. Like Edie said, she alluded to, most people think, oh, therapy is for white people, or therapy for women. So if they know that we created this space specifically for them, they are more likely to come into this situation with us and let their guard down and be more vulnerable and actually do the work. You know, again, like Edie said, we're like bouncing back and forth from each other. But I too have clients who I've seen from cohorts before, right? So it's like, once they go through 8 sessions is not really enough, but it's to jumpstart the healing journey. But what we try to do is we put so much work again into our pairing process that our men stay on and continue on, so that they can, you know, get to the root of what's going on and try to do the work to make the changes. So that's why I think that we have had so much success, again, because they know that we made this program out of love for them.
Thank you. And the same question from Ms. Edie.
Sure. I mean, I can, you know, definitely just echo a lot of Zakia's sentiments. And, you know, when it comes to, you know, just like historically, as far as like what has been available for communities of color, what has been available, especially for men of color, there isn't that much that we can point to that is coming from a genuine space and that doesn't have any strings attached, or that doesn't require them to jump through all these hoops, or even thinking about like systems of welfare that maybe started in like the 40s and the 50s. You know, the home had to be broken, or you couldn't say that your husband was living there, whatever the case is, right? A lot of the systems and the resources that have been set up for people of color and communities of color, it's come with a lot of other challenges, or it creates a lot of other barriers, you know? So Blackman Hill was designed specifically to alleviate a lot of those barriers and to also eliminate a lot of that skepticism, right? So, you know, the other thing is, sometimes certain free resources have the requirement or the criteria that you have to be low income, or that you have to be in a certain condition in order to qualify for that. Blackman Hill doesn't, you know, none of those things go into play when it comes to criteria. You just have to be a male. You have to be, as far as right now, you have to be over the age of 18, and you have to be willing, right? So those are the only three criteria. And you would think that like, oh, the only people that are going are the people who can't afford therapy, or this is their situation. And that's not the case. We have individuals who make six figures, you know, like money isn't a factor. It's the attraction. It's the knowing that, hey, this thing is for me, you know. And I think historically, Black people, and especially Black people in general, but especially Black men have been sent the message that my needs aren't important, right? Like, I'm not going to ask for help. I can figure it out. I can take care of it on my own. And that's not only from, you know, the outside world, but that's also from right within their household, right? So their spouses and their children, you know, all those different things. My needs aren't as important as the needs of the people that I have to take care of, or the needs of the people that I have to go out here and work for, right? So when they see that this space is specifically designed for them, it's just like, oh, okay, maybe that is a need. Maybe I can, you know, go ahead and check this out. And the fact that it can be done without any of the other strings attached, or without any of the other, you know, criticizing criteria, it's just like, oh, maybe then I can allow myself to be in this space.
Thank you for that. And lastly, Mr. Kyle, the same question. Mental health is a topic that many Black men consider taboo and do not often discuss. With this, why is DBHIDS in their services so important?
One of the things that I love about the department, and I think we're really intentionally focused on, is kind of removing some of those antiquated and biased stigmas around mental health. So we offer a really diverse range of supports and resources that meet people where they are. They're culturally competent and they're trauma informed. So this allows some of the shields that sometimes are put up to kind of be put down, and then the real work to kind of penetrate through and be done. So, yeah.
Thank you. And this conversation has been like great. Like this, I love this conversation. I also just wanted to leave a couple of minutes for the panelists. If you guys have any programs, any events coming up in the next few weeks or this month, to just give you that time and platform to talk about it. And it says Kyle has his hand raised, so I guess you can go, Kyle.
Thank you so much. So I want to just say really quickly, one of the programs that I mentioned towards the end that specifically addresses trauma is our Network of Neighbors program that goes out in the community and utilizes evidence and data-driven supports to provide resources for the community at large that are affected by trauma. One of the other ways that we're addressing trauma is our trauma card. And this accomplishes a number of goals. It defines trauma as in an easy to understand way, because again, language matters, words matter. So you want to make sure that people can understand it and that it's easily palatable. One of the other things it does that I really enjoy is it gives examples of some of the effects of trauma: anxiety, depression, body aches, things like that. And again, that's not an exhaustive list at all. It affects us all uniquely. And then one of the other things that it does as well is it gives a breakdown of some of the supports available. So that's CBH, as I mentioned, Community Behavioral Health, Network of Neighbors, and then our Philly Crisis Line. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm going to put my email in the chat if anyone wants to talk offline, if you like some of the trauma cards, whatever you'd like to speak about. Again, thank you so much for this opportunity and this time.
Thank you, Mr. Kyle. Thank you for that. Miss Edie, you can go.
Yes, thank you. I just definitely want to thank you again for having us, and for all of the attendees who are here tonight. One of the programs that Blackman Hill does have coming up, I mentioned it earlier, it's called Gun Violence Group Therapy, aka Gvgt. So our pilot group is going to be geared towards young boys from the ages of 12 to 17. So the pamphlet is in the chat, as well as the website is in the chat if you would like to register. We do want to ensure that, I would imagine that there probably aren't any people of that age group that are on here right now, but if you are a parent or a family member or a neighbor that you think that you know of someone that may be interested in that, definitely give them the information, give their parent the information. We definitely want individuals who are willing and who, you know, feel like they could really benefit from this program. So a really big goal of our program is to give people some education and some understanding about the impacts of gun violence, not only physically, but what it does for us emotionally, how it perpetuates the trauma cycle. We want to give them some tools for grief and healing and being able to cope through all of the challenges that they experience within their environments and in their neighborhoods. So again, that is inside the chat if you are interested in it or if you want to learn some more about it. We're looking to launch the program in the middle of June, so mid to late June, and it's going to be an 8-week program. So if you are interested, you can find some more on the Blackman Hill website. So thanks again.
Thank you, Ms. Edie. And Ms. Zakia.
Yes, I just want to thank you again for having us. And the one program that I want to talk about with Blackman Hill, because of there are extensive waiting lists. If you are or know a man that wants to apply to the 8-week free or individual therapy session and they can't get in right away, they can always go on King's Corner. Again, it's on our, I put the website in the chat. They can sign up, follow us on IG. That is a way that they can just, you know, like I said, have some interaction with men and get some tips and psychoeducation on things that they may be going through until they're able to get to the individual therapy program.
Thank you for that. Lastly, before we go, I just wanted to share my screen and show you how the finder is. Oh, actually, wait, hold on. Miss Khadija, you can go. Sorry about that.
No problem. So we have a couple things coming up. Our scholarship year has ended already. We did just choose our 2022 awardees, but we will have our scholarship year coming in September for the 2023 season. We have an upcoming op-ed that's coming up that I wrote that I'm pitching with Resolve Philly. So that's coming up. And I have a book that's coming out as well to assist others that want to start a nonprofit or want to start a scholarship foundation of their own, whether it's of mental health, whether it's for education. So it's a mix of my authoress girlfriend kind of mode with Philly in it and scholarship in it and the foundation. And so that's coming. So I'm hoping by next month.
Great, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to share my screen to show you what the finder looks like and also show the option if anybody knows of any resources, if you are a founder, co-founder of your own resource or foundation, if you want to add it, there's an option on the finder to do so. I'm just going to show you right now. Let's see if I show my screen. Okay, here it is. Okay, so the resource finder is phila.gov/OBME/resources. If you just scroll down where it says suggest a resource, if you just click this link, request, fill out our request form, fill out all the information, it'll come to us, the office, and it should be up on the resource finder within like 5 to 7 business days. And the resource finder is not effective with no resources. So feel free to fill that out. And I just want to say thank you to all the panelists for participating tonight. I really do appreciate it. I'm just so happy that we had this conversation because I feel like it was very essential. Like everyone's saying, I just feel like it is such like a stigma for especially Black males and mental health. So I'm just really glad that everyone came out, and I just really appreciate this conversation we had tonight. So thank you so much again.